Hi everyone, Leanne here from Jaded Blossom, and I have a fun Easter card to share with you today. Hey, so I'm using the Jaded Blossom Bunny Face stencil along with their mini tag dies 2, their Bunny Mail stamp set, their Cottontail Farm stamp set, the Builder Wreath die, candy wrap dies, and our card mat die. And I ink blended this on the February 2024 release and review video, so you can check that out. So I have a piece of paper tray ink craft cardstock cut at 8.5 by 5.5, and I'm scoring it at 4.25 inches to give you a side fold A2 sized card using my Martha Stewart scoreboard on my Teflon bone folder. And I did go ahead and I cut out this little piece. This is from the mini tag dies 2, and I cut that out of paper tray ink craft cardstock, and I'm using my Misty along with my Wallflower grip mat to hold it in place. And I'll be using this Simon Says stamp, acetate to line things up. And I'm going to stamp a sentiment from the Bunny Mail stamp set onto this little round piece from that mini tag dies 2. And I'm just using, like I said, my Misty, and I'm trying to line things up. I'm going to use VersaFine Clear Nocturne ink. There we go. I'm just making sure I'm stamped on the right spot. And now I can go ahead and I can stamp. Remember, you're better off to stamp multiple times if you're using a Misty. Don't push too hard because you're going to kind of flatten out your sentiments and make things look thicker than they're supposed to be. There we go. So now I'm taking my Cottontail Farm stamp set, and I'll be stamping a sentiment from this, just that says Happy Easter on the inside. You'll notice that I'm using a strip of that ink blended stenciled background on the inside of my card. So this is a piece of Neenah Solar White 80-pound cardstock cut at 4 by 5.25 inches. And I'm going to stamp that sentiment off to the left, just so I have room for that strip of leftover stenciled background, because you might as well use it, right? So I'm going to stamp that a couple of times. I'm going to take the bunny also from that set, and I'm going to stamp that in Distress Oxide ink in Kitsch Flamingo. That's the same color of pink that I used on my bunny face background. I used Antique Linen Distress Oxide ink and Black Soot Distress Oxide ink and this Kitsch Flamingo Distress Oxide ink. There we go. And like I said, you could watch me do that at the end of the February 2024 release and review video. Next, I'm pulling out my Distress ink in the same color, Kitsch Flamingo, and I'm inking around the bow. I cut this bow out of Doodlebug's Dot Stripe. It's in their Rainbow Petite Prints line. I believe this was the 12-inch. I can't remember what the actual name of this paper is called. It might be called Cupcake or something like that. So I'm just going to ink around the edges. It's the nice light pink that Doodlebug has. And I'll ink around the edge of this middle piece. And I also have this leftover purple one that I made a bow with before but didn't use. And I'm just going to layer that up and give the center of my bow a little bit of dimension. Now I did cut the candy wrap dies out of the same color in the stripe, which is just the other side, and I inked around the edges of that. Next, I'm going to be adding on my ink blended background onto my card base using my ATG tape. That ink blending was done on Neenah Solar White 80-pound cardstock as well. Okay, and I'm going to add the inside piece while we're at it here with the ATG tape. There we go. And now we'll add that to the interior here. There we go. And I'm going to be adding this strip, but I'm going to have to trim it down a bit. I probably should have measured and just trimmed it all down at once, but you'll see that I kind of mess around with the trimmer. I go back and forth a bit. But this is what I normally do when I'm card creating, so this isn't out of the realm of normal for me. So a lot of times I'll leave this stuff in the video just to show you I'm not perfect. I don't get things right the first time. There's usually a lot of trial and error going together. You'll see I don't want it to cover the bunny that I stamped, right? But I still want some of that border, that craft border to show. So I'm using this Fiskars trimmer just so I could see where I'm trimming. And it ends up not being right again because, this is the way things go for Leanne today. There we go. I realize I've got to still trim off a little bit more. And the bummer is that there's some ATG tape on the back of this still. So just trying to get it trimmed off straight. There we go. And hopefully this will be the right size now. There we go. So we're in business. And then I'm going to take a strip of this stripe, the same paper that I used on that, those candy wrap dies. And the other side I used the bow for the bow. And I'm just going to trim like a 1/4 inch strip to use, along the edge of this stenciled background, just for, a little bit of interest. I could have used some craft cardstock as well. That would have looked good too, but I'm kind of messing around here. This is what I do. I'm pulling out a pen blade just to trim off because I want that, I want that the same length as my interior piece, which is basically 5 1/4 inches. And I could have grabbed my trimmer again, but at this point I'd grabbed my trimmer way too many times. So I'm just going to pull out some glue. This might be art glitter glue. I can't remember. I put them in these little bottles and it's not labeled because, because Leanne's losing it a little bit. There we go. So I'm using my reverse tweezers and I'll put that down. So there's the inside. And I'm just going to rescore the outside again with that Teflon bone folder. Next, I'm going to put together this little bow, just using my glue, and I will weight it down with an acrylic block, just so it dries nice and flat. There we go. And there we go. And I'm lining it all up. And then I will use the purple center because, it was just a scrap. And I had it, so why not use it, right? It'll give me a little bit of dimension on the little bow center, which is always fun, and I will weight that down. Okay, so next thing, I'm going to use these candy wrap dies. They're meant to go around those Hershey nuggets. And, so you can decorate candies in a lot of our treat dies. But I use this for like a ribbon kind of detail on this card, because why not, right? This is a really simple card design. So I'm just made sure that where they overlapped, the diagonal stripe lined up. There we go. And then I will trim off the overhang with a pair of scissors. There we go. And I do ink the ends just where I cut it, just so it looks finished. Next, I'm going to be covering up that seam with the bow and my sentiment. So I'll be adding on some glue here. There we go. And I'm just going to, bring it down a little bit because I'm going to be tucking that sentiment in behind the bow a little bit and using, like I said, using the placement to cover that seam. No one will know but you and me. There we go. Isn't that fun? Okay, I'm pulling out Jada Blossom's banner dies and their Wheelbarrow Dies Love Mail add-ons. I love using the hearts from these two dies to, decorate. And I'm going to be covering up that little boo-boo. I did some overzealous ink blending when I originally did this stencil. And I just wanted to cover up my boo-boo there. So that first part is from the Love Mail add-ons, the Wheelbarrow Love Mail add-ons. And then these other two, this is the larger one and then the smaller one from the Jada Blossom's banner dies. I use them a lot. These were all cut out of that craft cardstock from Paper Tray Ink. And I'm just making a visual triangle. And then that's it, like a super simple card design, right? So easy. I'm going to pull out my Secure White Jelly Roll pen in a number 10, and I'm going to be adding highlights to each of their little eyes, just to make them look not so dull and flat. So I'm adding a highlight to the outer side of each eye, sort of lined up with where the ears are, right? And that way it will just make the eyes look a little bit more, I don't know, I think it makes the eyes look a little bit more alive looking. To me, it's not so flat. And really all it takes is a dot, right? Super simple. And then I'm going to add a little dot to each of their noses too, because why not? I have my, Secure White Jelly Roll pen out. I might as well. Doesn't really take any more time to add a dot to each little pink nose. And there we go. Isn't that cute? And a super simple card, right? Now I'm pulling out my Sakura black glaze pen, and I'm just going to dot in an eye on this bunny, because why not? And then I'm going to add that same white Jelly Roll pen. There we go in the number 10. And I'm going to add, some freckles and a little highlight and a nose. Why not, right? And there we go. So just make sure you let that dry before you shut your card, because it can smear quite easily until that happens. So there we go. So thank you so much for stopping by. Be sure to hop on over to the Jada Blossom blog, Be Inspired by the Team, the Jada Blossom store, to get your hands on these amazing products. And thank you as always for watching my videos. I really appreciate it. Make sure you come back again soon and watch another. Bye, everybody.